In the early 80s, New York was still buzzing with the aftershocks of porno chic, but the sheen was fading fast. The theaters on 42nd Street were sticky, the mob had its hands in the till, and the home video boom was about to upend the whole industry. Amid that chaos, Gerard Damiano, already infamous for propelling mature films into the mainstream with Deep Throat, decided to gamble on something weird, a dystopian sci-fi genre epic shot in Queens, starring Times Square regulars and built on a script that felt like it belonged to Philip K. Dick. The result was The Satisfiers of Alpha Blue, a film equal parts erotic fantasy and bleak meditation on a future ruled by machines. This is the story of how it came to be. Damiano had always flirted with the idea that genre content could be more than coitus on celluloid, it could be cinema. With Alpha Blue, he doubled down, a serious science fiction story about love, alienation, and the numbing effects of instant gratification. The plot is deceptively simple. Society is controlled by a central computer that delivers satisfiers, women programmed to fulfill your every desire on demand. Most people embrace this system, happily living in a perpetual cycle of pleasure. But one man, Algon, played brilliantly by Robert Kerman under his R. Bowler alias, rebels against the idea. He doesn't just want a physical connection. He wants love. He finds it, or at least thinks he does, via Satisfier 805 named Diana. For a mature film released in the era of Reagan, a time associated with conspicuous consumption and the pursuit of individual gain, Alpha Blue is almost perversely out of step with its surrounding culture. While Wall Street was canonizing the greed is good ethos, Damiano was sketching a world where pleasure had been commodified to the point of emptiness. The film's central conceit reads like a direct critique of a society that treats intimacy as just another transaction. And yet Alpha Blue isn't purely cynical. Algon's quest for love in a sea of endless gratification suggests a yearning for something real, a refusal to buy into the gospel of surface-level satisfaction. In its own lurid, low-budget way, the film stands as a counterpoint to the glossy consumer fantasies of the 1980s, asking whether the pursuit of more money, more sex, more everything could ever actually fill the void. Most of the production unfolded in Adventure Studios in Queens, New York, where cinematographer Phil Gries, credited under the alias Elroy Brandy, handled the bulk of the photography with a high-quality Arriflex BL1 35mm camera. James McCalmont deftly picked up the handheld inserts. Overall, the production design owed as much to Logan's Run as it did to Times Square Grindhouse. For some of the admittedly kitsch-looking, futuristic exterior sequences, the cast and crew headed down to the Rocket Park in Flushing Meadows, Corona Park, an actual abandoned relic of the 1964 World's Fair. Beyond this, the whole thing has a weirdly authentic, retro-futurist flavor, with studio sets kitted out with beam-me-up-style cubicles and other sci-fi touches. The production budget was reportedly around $250,000, a serious chunk of money for the industry in the early 80s. However, Damiano had the success and clout to bring about such financing. He was mounting a feature with sets, lighting rigs, and all the trappings that came with that. This translated to the quality of the supporting cast. He brought together some of the most recognizable faces of the era. Opposite Kerman was Herschel Savage as Griffin, a friend and foil who embraces the hedonism of Alpha Blue without question. Lysa Thatcher took on the role of Diana, whose presence awakens Algon's hunger for something resembling genuine love. Surrounding them was a lineup of performers who defined the New York scene. Sharon Mitchell and Tiffany Clark as hostesses, Annie Sprinkle as one of the Satisfiers, Hilary Summers as Holly, and George Payne as Mark. Damiano wasn't shy about wanting to push genre content beyond its own cliches. In interviews, he often claimed he wanted to make audiences feel something beyond arousal, laughter, sadness, even discomfort. And in my opinion, he achieved all of this and more in the Satisfiers of Alpha Blue. It may seem like a bit of a stretch, but there are, in fact, parallels between Damiano's own career and Algon's rebellion against the system. By 1981, the industry was clearly shifting toward cheaper video productions, churning out product faster and with less artistry. Damiano, meanwhile, was still insisting on high-quality film production standards. Whether on location or in the studio, he wanted his output to feel like cinema. The Satisfiers of Alpha Blue premiered in New York City on March 18, 1981. It never crossed over into the mainstream the way Damiano's earlier works had, but within the business, it stood out as ambitious, weird, and unmistakably filmic. Damiano even revisited the concept 3 years later. However, by then, the economics of the industry had been reduced too far. Return to Alpha Blue was a direct-to-video sequel. The era of film-based, narratively ambitious genre content was spent. Seen today, the Satisfiers of Alpha Blue is less about titillation than it is about Damiano's stubborn belief that adult film could be cinema. The film straddles two worlds, the grindhouse aesthetic of early 80s New York and the ambitious ideas and futurism of low-budget sci-fi. Some might be tempted to laugh it off as kitsch, but that would miss the point. In its own way, Alpha Blue anticipated the questions we're still asking about digital pleasure, instant gratification, and the hollowing out of intimacy in a world where desire is just one click away. In 1981, Damiano dressed those anxieties in polyester jumpsuits, cheap visual effects, and lots of great genre content. Over 40 years later, his vision looks less like camp and more like prophecy. For all of these reasons, it is more than worthy of revisiting. Thanks for watching, everyone. Just to let you all know, I have now launched my first free ebook, which, if you sign up using the link in the description, I shall be able to give you access. It's about the New York peep show industry of the mid-70s. So to receive that absolutely free and to stay informed about future offers, well, you know what to do. Thanks again, and see you in the next one.